Have you ever enjoyed a certain genre of book but found that it goes against your values as a Christian? Either it swears too much or is a little too steamy and just the subject matter is not what you want to be reading. Or on the other hand, have you tried out Christian fiction books and found them to be a little bit boring? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite recent Christian fiction books that I have read across a few different genres, and hopefully you can find your next favorite. And I want to specify that in this video, I'm going to be speaking about specifically Christian fiction books, not nonfiction. So if you want to see another video all about my nonfiction recommendations, then definitely let me know. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Cozy Faith with Kay. My name is Kaylin, and I am so happy to be back after a little bit of a relaxing week, ramping up and getting ready for the wedding. I'm back with also new glasses. This is actually my first time wearing glasses in any of my videos. I actually don't even think that you guys know that I wear glasses, but hey, fun fact, I do. I actually do not have very good vision at all. But more importantly, before we get into the video, I just wanted to say I literally just saw that we hit 7K and I am just over the moon. So happy. Our goal is 10K by the end of the year, and I really have faith that we can do it. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed and supported me along the way. I love the family that we're building. And if you're watching and if you're new, if you end up liking this video, come join. We're a pretty cool bunch. So today, as I said, I'm going to be talking about my favorite Christian fiction books. We're going to be talking about 3 different genres. The first one is going to be Christian fiction / romance. Then we're going to talk about Christian fantasy, and we're going to finish off with some Christian mystery picks. So starting off, the first book to talk about is Cherished by Kim Cash Tate. So I'm just going to start out by reading us the synopsis and then we'll chat about it. Kelly London once dreamed of being a songwriter. As crazy as it seemed, she hoped God would use the lyrics that came to her even while she slept. She dreamed about Brian too, that the love they shared as high school students would grow into marriage. But choices that still haunt her destroyed those dreams. Until now, when a series of love letters reawakens her hope for the future. Heather Anderson's life has spun out of control. First, an affair with a married man, then a one-night stand with the drummer of a popular Christian band has left her devastated. Broken and alone, she cried out to the only one able to save her. He met her there, but it was just the beginning, because now she must take a different path, and the one God had planned for her looks nothing like the one she envisioned. As Kelly and Heather awaken to their true worth, they find the freedom to pursue their dreams and relationships based on the security of knowing God's unconditional love. So this is kind of in the contemporary Christian fiction romance category, and let me just say, I really love this book. This was actually one of the first Christian fiction books I ever read, and it really did not disappoint. I did a lot of research to find something that was hopefully not going to be too boring, because you know, there are a lot of clean fiction books out there, but sometimes you run the risk of them just not having much of a plot. This was not that. This was a quick read. It made me cry. It made me laugh. It was romantic. There is a continuation of the series as well, which I definitely plan to read. And as the book title says, it's called Cherished. And honestly, I would recommend this to literally any Christian, especially a Christian woman, to read, especially when you need to feel like you are cherished by God and understand how far God's forgiveness for you goes and how far his love for you goes and what his plan looks like for you. I also absolutely loved that this book was intertwined with the music industry. It gave it a kind of different vibe. The characters were so lovable, and I honestly just couldn't put the book down. Something I want to say as well, just a little disclaimer, I have never reviewed a book in my life. I'm just talking, you know, friend to friend here, giving you a couple of recommendations, and you know, take them as you will. I hope that you enjoy them. I would not put it on this list if I didn't think that everybody should read it. But yeah, just wanted to say that. Okay, so next on my list for Christian fiction is Love and a Little White Lie by Tammy L Gray. This might be the best book I've ever read. I'm not even over exaggerating. It's so good. Okay, it's good in a different way. There's gonna be another book that I say is one of the best books I've ever read. This is just, it's just so beautiful. It is a realistic coming to faith kind of story. I absolutely love how it took the main character who kind of was atheist or agnostic and her realistic story of how she became a believer. It's very interesting. Basically what happens in the book is the main character, she is not Christian, but she goes to live with her aunt and gets a job at the church. And she lies and tells everybody there that she's Christian. And she at first thinks it's just a little white lie, and then slowly but surely people around her, start becoming friends with her. She starts connecting, she starts going to services. And little bit by little bit, there are like these little seeds that are planted, and it's really like a coming to faith, but it's very realistic. As someone who was actually atheist before, it's really realistic with like the questions that it takes and the things that go through your head. And even like, it's so funny, like there are certain parts of it where she's talking about how she's so confused about the Christian lingo. Like sometimes, she'll be like, I don't know what that means when they say that they feel led to do something. What's leading them? And just all these different words and lingo that Christians use a lot, especially in church and like with other people of the faith. It was really funny and really enjoyable. So that was Love and a Little White Lie. The next couple of books in this Christian fiction romance kind of section is straight romance, but it's good, clean, Christian based, good value, good men, just all around amazing story. And it is the Blackwater Ranch series by Mandi Blake. Now I've read 4 of the books. She has a bunch of them, and they all kind of continue into each other. You don't have to read them in order, but it's awesome to do that because they build upon the story. But basically, the way it kind of is framed, it's about this family that lives on Blackwater Ranch. They have a bunch of sons. I don't even know how many. I think it's like 6 or 7 sons or something like that. And basically something happens to bring a girl into the mix, and it's about basically in each of the books, one of the sons is going to find his wife and like fall in love with somebody. But you'd think that would get repetitive, and it actually doesn't. So for example, I'll just read you the synopsis of the first book, and then you can kind of make your opinion from there. So Remembering the Cowboy is the first book. They have unfinished business. She just can't remember what it is. Camille Vanderbilt is headed back home to Wyoming with one goal: find her old best friend and give him a piece of her mind for ghosting her 6 years ago. She won't let anyone stand in her way, until a deer runs into the road and causes her to wreck and forget almost everything. Noah Harding lives a simple life as a firefighter and rancher until Camille crashes back into his life. When a call at the fire station sends him to save his old best friend's life, he thinks he might get a second chance until her influential stepdad gives a reminder that his old threats still stand. When Camille runs into Noah in town, she knows he's important to her, but her memories are fuzzy. Noah is hesitant to get close to her when it means having to sacrifice everything to be with her. She thinks it's a new beginning, but he knows it shouldn't have ever ended. When the threats are carried out, who will be left hurting at Blackwater Ranch? So basically, it's kind of almost like a dramatic romance, Western cowboy. It's everything that you like from like a cowboy romance, except it's Christian, and it's awesome because they talk about God. In some of the books, the women are coming to God, so it's realistic that way. The family is so endearing, and the author Mandi Blake finds a way to make each and every different guy in the series completely different and have a really different personality than the last brother to be spoken about, but yet still a good guy, which is really cool because I think that a lot of these books sometimes it's just the same guy, the same personality basically being repeated over. But this kind of shows that there's a lot of different personalities, but you could still be like a good Christian man of God and have like a romance with good people like that. So I really, really enjoyed it because of that. And I will 100% be continuing to read the series. I just had to take a break because I was inhaling the books. Stepping into our next little category here, it is Christian fantasy. So Christian fantasy was something that personally I was honestly had a little bit of conviction about because I'm like, okay, Christians, we're not supposed to really be into like magic or spells or, any of that. We have to be very careful, right? We are in the world, but not of it. But I realized that there are truly some very good Christian fantasy books out there that seek to kind of show like a Christian allegory through their story. They may not be a specific character talking to God or Jesus as we know it, but there are some really beautiful ways to still show that story, and I'm sure it reaches people that might not even know that they're reading a Christian book, plant seeds that way. But anyway, the first Christian fantasy book that I want to talk about is called The Wishtress. Oh my goodness, I love this book. It was such a beautiful, beautiful fantasy book. I'm not even kidding. So I had never read any fantasy before, and I had a friend convince me into reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. And well, let's just say the values not respected. The language wasn't too bad, but like the values and like the subject matter and the torture and just, it was a lot. It was a lot. And it made me realize that though I love the idea of a fantasy book, I needed to find something that would be more in line with my values. Now, I'm not saying that Wishtress is like a comparable book to Court of Thorns and Roses. It's not the same story at all. In my opinion, it's better. So I'll just read you the synopsis and then we will discuss. She didn't ask to be the Wishtress. Mirth was born with the ability to turn her tears into wishes, but when a granted wish goes wrong, she is cursed. The next tear she sheds will kill her. She must travel to the well to break the curse before it claims her life, and before the king's militarian find her. To survive the journey, Mirth must harden her heart to keep herself from crying even a single tear. He can stop time with a snap of his fingers. Bastion's wonderful and rare talent came in handy when he killed king. Now the new king has a job for him: find the Wishtress and deliver her to the Schloss. But Bastion needs a wish of his own. He gains Mirth's trust by promising to take her to the well, but once he gets what he needs, he'll turn her in. As long as his growing feelings for the girl with a stone heart don't compromise him. Their quest can end in only one way: with her death. Everyone seems to need a wish. The king, Mirth's cousin, the boy she thinks she loves, and they're ready to bully, beg, and betray her for it. No one knows that to grant even one wish, Mirth would pay with her life. And if she tells them about the curse, they'll just kill her anyway. It's so good. So this was another one that I read with an audiobook. Audiobook was phenomenal. It was definitely not a short read, but it really did keep my interest the whole entire time. The backstory, the world building was very good. It was fast-paced enough that I didn't get bored, but it was very interesting and I felt like I was really immersed into that world that she had built. And it was so awesome to see that level of suspense and conflict and even magic and stuff like that without seeing the level of violence and gore that you would normally see. Even though there was like a little bit of violence, I felt that it was tastefully done. It didn't make me uncomfortable. So if that's you and you have a really hard time reading like torture or any of those kinds of things, this is safe. Like I was comfortable. It was okay. A lot of the violence was kind of closed door. So that's kind of a term that a lot of people talk about in this community: closed door romance, closed door violence. It basically means like those things happen off stage. And so by doing that, you're not subjecting the readers to like just too much, again, with the subject matter and the values and stuff like that. And when we get to a connection to Christian themes, oh boy. There's this one part where, you know, it's kind of the climax of the book, and I'm not going to give anything away, but I cried because it was such a beautiful allegory to exactly what Jesus does for us. And without ever saying the word Jesus, they described him so perfectly, and the author knew exactly what she was doing. It is a Christian book, and truly I felt that throughout the book Christian themes were pretty prominent, especially when you read it with the lens of, okay, I'm about to read a Christian book. You could kind of like find them and search for them, which was really fun. My only wish is that there would be a sequel or a second book of this, because truly just amazing. Now, by the same author, still in our fantasy series, is the book called Fawkes. And this is actually a fantasy version of the story of Guy Fawkes, the real historical story, except this involves magic and color magic and stuff like that. Basically, it involves this world where all of the people have these masks, and if they have a certain color mask, they can control that color and do magic with that color, and it's really, really cool. It's a very cool premise, very cool world building, decent characters. Honestly, guys, I really couldn't get into it. And I'm not saying don't read it. It is by the same author. She also has one called Romanov, which is again, real story made into a fantasy. Maybe it just wasn't my speed because it was a little too historical, but if that sounds interesting, I wanted to add it on the list for you just in case. And now coming into our last category, which is Christian mystery. So my soiree into even beginning to read, I used to read when I was a kid, and as an adult, I literally never read, but I started doing it again last year, and my very first kind of thing I started to read was cozy mysteries. Now, I love mystery, but I don't love the gore, the violence, all of that comes with it. So I started to read cozy mysteries. A cozy mystery is basically everything you love about a mystery, except instead of a procedural kind of mystery where they're spending a whole chapter explaining the violence and the gore. It is quick, it's sometimes off stage or implied, and you get to see it's about the story. It's not about that violent thing that happened. Usually it's also a bit easier to stomach because sometimes it's not even murder. Sometimes it's just like theft, or I've seen it be poisoning or a bunch of other things. It doesn't actually have to be like a cold hard murder. Cozy mysteries usually happen in a small town. The characters are lovable. There's a couple of funny parts, but still quite suspenseful. They're really, really nice, especially during the fall and winter time. I really like them at that point. In terms of cozy mysteries that I read, my first couple of books that I read were the Donna Andrews series. And basically it's a bunch of books about books that are named after birds. So I read Dashing Through the Snowbirds, I read Lark the Herald Angels Sing. So a bunch of Christmassy themed books. They're really, really good. They're in that realm of cozy mystery. They're not Christian. They're just honorable mentions that I wanted to kind of put in there, which is why I'm not going to talk too much about them. Again, in that realm of cozy mysteries that I really liked, Joanne Fluke and the Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder series. Absolutely love that one too. Pretty obvious considering chocolate chip cookies are my favorite thing, but really, really enjoyed that as well. Wish it was Christian, but as a Christian, I had no problems reading it. Again, didn't go against values, didn't make me convicted, nothing. Everything was completely comfortable, very enjoyable. But on to actual Christian mystery. I just read a really awesome book. It's called Fragile Designs. And so I will start out by reading that synopsis. Family secrets can be the most dangerous of all. When Carly Tucker's police officer husband is killed during a home break-in, she knows that her side hustle finding the antique treasures at flea markets isn't enough to support her and her infant son, Noah. So her grandmother's proposal to have her and her two sisters restore the family's waterfront Beaufort home into a bed and breakfast that Carly will run is immediately intriguing. But it's equally daunting with the animosity that exists between the three sisters. What Carly never expected as she begins to go through the attic was to find a letter in a trunk written in her husband's handwriting, dated 2 days before his death. Eric had discovered that Carly's grandmother was adopted, a fact Carly is certain Graham is not aware of, and had already begun trying to track down her birth family. Is it possible that Eric's death wasn't random after all? With few options, Carly reaches out to Graham's neighbor Simon and the older brother of her high school sweetheart, who is a local homicide detective. One of the items in the trunk is an enameled egg. If it is truly a Fabergé egg, the value could set Carly up for life, and would certainly be worth killing for. The journey to find the truth and protect her family will have Carly delving deep into the lost treasures of Eastern Europe if she and Simon can survive that long. So, a solid romantic suspense, Christian romantic suspense. It was my first time reading a book by Colleen Coble, and let me just tell you, one of my favorite authors already. The writing was so good. The emotion, the storytelling, the story building, everything like that was so on par. It was actually pretty hard to figure out exactly where she was going, which was cool. The book kept me guessing. It wasn't too predictable, which I really like in a mystery. There were red herrings and there were really interesting characters and a little bit of suspense, even violence, but again, so tastefully done that I wasn't worried about it. It was just amazing. Drama at every corner, suspense at every corner. And now, in terms of books, especially books on this series, it's not as Christian as Love and a Little White Lie, for example, or even maybe like The Wishtress. it's more just Christian people dealing with those things. But there are some mentions of, oh, we're gonna pray about that, or oh, you know, God is going to help us with this, or whatever it is. It doesn't really dive into any of the issues of faith, or any sort of coming to faith, or any sort of struggles in faith, nothing like that. It's more just the people in the book are Christian and have Christian values and speak like Christians do. The romance in the book was so heartwarming, realistic, and just so beautifully done. And overall, I was just really impressed. Again, this was one I did on an audiobook, again with my fiance. We took our time and listened for over 9 hours on flights and drives, and it just really, really helped us to pass the time, and was something that was super bonding and fun for us to do together, and was just a really good Christian mystery / romance. So that's it for the recommendations for you guys for today. It was a little bit of a different video, so let me know what you think. Normally I do Bible journaling, Bible study videos, more Christian lifestyle videos, but you know, I just wanted to try something new. I wanted to see if you guys liked it. I did get a comment that was requesting a video like this, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you go ahead and look at any of these books, or give them a read, please definitely let me know what you think. If you have any questions about any of them, definitely let me know. I would love to hear what you think about them. If you guys want to follow me, again, like I said, really not the biggest reader, but if you want to follow me on Goodreads, you absolutely can. Though I haven't read a lot, I do definitely do my research and plan a lot of other Christian books that I'm going to read, and I have a whole section on it. So if you like these recommendations, maybe you'll like those as well. But yeah, guys, I will find a way to put my link for you guys to follow me or add me as a friend in the description of this video if you are interested in that. As always, if you haven't already, please go ahead and like and subscribe for more videos like this one and like my normal Bible journaling kind of videos. And without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.